Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. I want to have a talk about several things this morning, and it's just simply a talk, or maybe sort of a rant, but not really. No, more of just a talk. I want to talk first about silver, something about silver, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin. You know, and I know an awful lot of the viewers in my audience out there, you have silver and you have Bitcoin, but one of the things that people are not quite grasping and not quite catching a hold of. I heard commentators talking about silver yesterday, and they were saying how there's so much silver in world inventories, oodles of silver in world inventories. And, I agree with them. They were talking about how they said, just take alone all the silver eagles that have been minted and sold out into the world, and they counted all of that, and they counted all the different other kinds of silver that have been sold out into the marketplace and stuff as world inventory. And so their argument is that, hey, you know what, we can't have a silver shortage because there's so much silver in the world inventory. They're missing something huge. And we'll explain what it is. You guys out there right now, if we count, by the way, they're counting silver in world inventories. You guys out there that are holding silver, maybe you've got a roll of silver eagles, 20 silver eagles, with the green top on the top of it, the container they have. Maybe you have that put away someplace, a roll of them, 20 silver eagles, or maybe more. They're counting what you have as part of the world inventory. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Would you sell that silver at these prices? Or are you holding that silver waiting for higher prices? Now, I know what the answer to that is. Obviously, you guys are HODL in your silver. You're holding on to it for dear life because you don't want to sell at these prices. In fact, you may have just paid more. You may have paid more. You're lucky if you've paid these prices that we have now. A lot of you are holding silver. You've held it for a few years, and you paid more. You're not going to sell right now. So this world inventory that they're counting as a world silver inventory that we can't have a shortage is being held here, there, and everywhere, but it's not for sale right now. So the only silver that we can really count, the number that really counts, is the silver that's stockpiled right now and is ready for sale and ready for delivery. That number they're keeping very secret. Now, you can go to these different places. You can go online. You can even pay money, and you can find out how much world silver is roughly estimated in world inventory. And it's probably exceeding 2 billion ounces. So the argument is, hey, we can't have a silver shortage because there's more than 2 billion ounces out there of silver. But yes, we can have a silver shortage because that real number of silver that's available for sale right now at these prices is very small. I can't tell you guys what it is, but I can't get a figure on it because they're keeping it secret, but I'm going to estimate that it's under 200 million ounces. That's my estimate. That's actually right there, right now, you can buy at these prices. Available for sale, right into the market. So I think if we were to get a buyer right now, right here, this minute, that wanted more than 200 million ounces, we would get failure to deliver. We get a failure to deliver on silver. And what this would do is, this would be a shortage, because it's a shortage not of the world's silver inventories, but a shortage of silver that's available for sale. Right now, right here, right now. 200 million ounces, I think, would clean out all these places like APMEX and Kitco and all of these companies where you go to buy silver. It would clean all of them out, and it would clean out all the stockpiles that they have that's available for sale at these prices. Now, get what I'm saying, at these prices, okay? we would have a shortage, but the shortage wouldn't last long, because when the price shoots up, when there's a shortage, the price would shoot up. When the price shoots up, once it gets to a level where the people that have silver are ready to sell, then the shortage ends. It ends abruptly, and the price starts to fall back again. So when we talk about a silver shortage, we're not talking about a silver shortage as if there's no silver in the world. We're talking about a silver shortage in the available silver that's available for sale at the low prices. That's all. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Roughly 10 years ago it started. Okay? There's hackers out there, people that want to bust the code to Bitcoin. Well, let's face it. There's billions and billions and billions of dollars that if they were to crack the code to Bitcoin somehow, that they could either mess up, and there is a fault in Bitcoin. It's called a 51% attack. The miners can launch a 51% attack. If they can get 51% of the network, they can take control of Bitcoin. It's always been that way, but it's never happened. But there's other things that hackers would like to do. They'd like to be able to just come in and let's face it, hackers want whatever they can get. They're like thieves, you know. And they're always hacking. Constantly, computers everywhere on Earth. Hackers are constantly trying to hack into systems, hack this, hack that, hack something else. They're a bunch of crazy. As far as I'm concerned, I don't like them. I don't like them any more than I like thieves, because what they're doing is basically, essentially using the computer network. It's just like a thief does when he breaks into your house. They're trying to break in, whatever. But they've been trying to break into Bitcoin ever since it first started. It's never actually, the source code of Bitcoin and the whole thing, the way the whole thing works, is you can bet your bottom boots they're around the world everywhere trying every day. Right? They've never been successful with Bitcoin, and there's no reason to believe they ever will be successful. Somehow, the way Bitcoin is created is absolutely genius. It's ran flawlessly ever since it was first created. It has only 7 transactions per second. So, I mean, an awful lot of people say, well, it's not scalable because it's only 7 transactions per second. But you don't understand. This is what I want to clarify. The point I want to clarify right now is Bitcoin doesn't need more than 7 transactions per second. The reason why is because what it's established itself as and what it's going to become as the basically gold, internet gold, it doesn't need more than 7 transactions per second, because most people are going to store it as a store of value. That's what Bitcoin is going to become. These other coins will become your utility tokens for paying for things and everything else, like Litecoin. You know, they will become the currencies. Bitcoin isn't setting itself up to become a currency. Bitcoin is setting itself up to become a way of transferring wealth very quickly around the world. Big amounts of money. We're not talking small money, we're talking big change. And that's what it's setting itself up to be, is a way for people to transfer vast amounts, fortunes, across the internet instantaneously. And a store of value, a real store of value. The store of value, basically the new gold standard for the internet age. That's what it's setting itself up to be. And because it's deflationary, this means there's going to be less transactions on the network as Bitcoin becomes worth more and more. As it starts to absorb all of the world's wealth. And this is what it's setting itself up to do. It's going to become more and more deflationary, and people are not going to want to sell the stuff at a certain point. When it gets high enough, you're going to find that the transactions on the Bitcoin network are going to lessen instead of increase. And it's handling it right now, but it's going to lessen because the value of it's going to start to go up so high that people are not going to transfer it. They're not going to buy a cup of coffee with it. Right now, we're getting a lot of people out there. It's a novelty. Bitcoin's a novelty, you know, and they want to make purchases with it and stuff. This is going to taper off. In the end, what it's going to be is the Lightning Network is going to carry the vast volume of the transactions each day, and those transactions will be all transferred at the end of the day in one simple transaction on the Bitcoin network. And the Bitcoin network can handle 7 transactions per second. Okay? And so you can have millions of transactions on the Lightning Network and then make one simple transaction on the main network, on the main Bitcoin network, to handle all of the other transactions each day. And most of those transactions on the Lightning Network, because it's Bitcoin, it's going to taper. The transactions are going to actually taper back, and those transactions are going to become larger, though. So picture a world where if somebody wants to transfer $1 million from Asia to America, they'll use the Bitcoin network, and that's one transaction. One simple, quick transaction. And these transactions are going to actually get less and less as the network becomes bigger and bigger, and as Bitcoin becomes worth more and more. There'll be less and less transactions. And when the transactions take place, so the transactions are going to be bigger and bigger. It's these other coins that are going to absorb the massive amounts of transactions. They're the ones that you're going to use to pay for a cup of coffee. You know, these other coins. Even Litecoin is going to go the same way as Bitcoin. And I can see a world, ultimately now, I have to look into the future and try to spot these trends. I can see a world where Litecoin and Bitcoin are standing together, and Litecoin is worth roughly 25% of a Bitcoin, and a world where both of them have the Lightning Network completely established, and they're both used for the same purpose. But Litecoin is like a little bit lighter version of Bitcoin. It's more for it's going to be more for smaller corporations and stuff. If they want to send like $100,000, they'll send like one Litecoin. I shocked you guys, didn't I, when I said one Litecoin? You know, and the larger corporations, the big corps, the big boys, you know, they want to send $100 million, basically. They'll send like 0.25 Bitcoins, sort of thing. You know, I mean, this is the kind of world we're heading to, where all the value transfers into the new digital gold and silver platform. And these other coins will be down on the list. They'll be used like maybe Digibyte, perhaps, might be used for your common everyday transactions. Maybe going and buying your groceries and stuff, you know, and some of these other coins like Dash might be used for more common everyday transactions. But these coins are setting themselves up and positioning themselves to handle all the world's commerce, you know. And what we're seeing is the banking system is going to try to imitate this, but they're going to peg their coins, probably, most likely, they're going to be pegging their coins to the dollar. And as the dollar dies in value, their coins are going to die in value, and their coins are going to be on the exchange up against the big, powerful coins, the coins that are deflationary coins, like Bitcoin and Litecoin, which are only ever going to deflate as time goes by. Sure, it's going to be an up and down movement, but generally it's always up higher each time. So what you get is you get a wave pattern with Bitcoin, Litecoin, these coins. What they do is they climb up, they reach a crescendo, and then they fall off, but they don't fall back down as far as they were before they start to make this next wave pattern. And each subsequent wave is higher than the previous wave. That's a deflationary cycle event where these coins are actually slowly deflating higher and higher and higher in value. If you go back to the inception of Bitcoin, back when it first started, you know, I mean, back when I started, I could have had one for $60. Right now, you got to cough up $4,000 for one. But right now, they've deflated. We're on the low end of the wave. We're on the low end of that last wave. What'll it be on the high end of the next wave? The last wave took us up to $20,000. It's going to come a point where these subsequent waves Each wave is bigger and bigger, and more people get involved in this. And we're looking at what we're looking at ultimately is institutional money coming into the space. And in the end, Bitcoin is going to be priced out of the common man. You're not going to be able to afford to buy Bitcoin. It's going to be corporations and stuff that are using it for money transfer and stuff like that. And investors who are using it, like hedge funds and stuff like that, are going to be money managers and stuff are going to be buying into it. And even they won't have a lot because it's going to be worth so much money. All of the world's value I can see ultimately in the end being transferred into this. So that if you want gold and silver will still be available, but price will be way higher than it is now. But you'll be able to buy it with Bitcoin. And it'll be questionable as to whether the purchase was a good value or not, even though it's gold and silver. But you know what's going to die? What's going to die in value? It's going in the opposite direction. We're going through ages and cycles with humanity is what we're going through. We went through ages and cycles in the past where royalties and monarchs ruled the world. And it was slowly phased out. Now, there is still a few monarchies on Earth, but they don't have the power like they used to. Governments, the power was transferred over into governments. And then we went through that age of governments. And now governments is starting to get, they're next to slowly lose power. And we're going to move into a new age. And what I believe that new age is going to be is corporate control, corptocracies. I think that's what's next. And we're going to move into the age of corporate controls. And these corporations will probably slowly get larger and larger until they start to actually control the world. And we'll go through that age, and that age might last 400, 500, 1,000 years. And then what will happen is then they'll lose control to something different, something bigger or greater than them. And each time we keep going through phases or ages. Well, the thing is, it's the same thing as like when we're going through history. We go through period pieces. It's like if you went back into the 1900s, you had the Roaring Twenties. That was a period piece. It played itself out, and then we moved into the 30s and the 40s, and the 50s was a big thing, with their different things they had in the 50s, like rock and roll and Elvis and all that, And then we moved into the 60s, and the 60s had the hippie movement and everything else. And the 60s was a period piece. Well, looking at a longer scale of things, we go through period pieces that last centuries. Like we had the Middle Ages, and then we had the modern industrial revolution. We're going through this process. It's like an evolving process. Ultimately, it's going to lead to new forms of government in the earth, because these governments that we have right now, they exponentially grow until they get to the size where everybody's a government employee. And the government's trying to create enough money to support all of this, and they can't. And the governments are getting broker and broker, and in the end, they lose power because the people just can't take it anymore. Because everybody's a government employee. The government's swelled to a certain size where it just can't even support itself anymore. It doesn't even have a clear power structure leading to the top, a chain of command. The whole thing just starts to disintegrate on itself because it can't support itself ultimately under the weight of its own pressure, And then what's next? What's next is corporations, more than likely. So this is the way we're going with this. But corporations are going to fit right in with the new cryptocurrencies as being a way of transferring value between one corporation and another. And this is where Bitcoin fits in. Now, other coins will be used as currency. They'll become currencies further down the list. Which ones will survive, which ones will thrive, and which ones will die? Because there's not enough room for all of them. They're all vying for the same position, all these cryptocurrencies. Some will survive, some will die. Try not to invest in the ones that are going to die. That's all I got to say to you guys. But I don't think Bitcoin's going to be one of the ones that are going to die. I really don't. If you look at its track record up till now, it's never failed. We've never had a failure in the network of Bitcoin. It's proven itself for the last 10 years to be a very effective way of actually being not even currency, money. Bitcoin is money. Just like gold is money, Bitcoin is money. It doesn't have any counterparty risk when you buy Bitcoin. It's if you know what you're doing and you know how to store Bitcoin properly, like on a hardware wallet or something, it's actually probably a safer way to keep your money than in a real physical form, you know. And it actually is in physical form. The internet could even go down, for crying out loud. And if you got your wallet stored on a hardware wallet and stuff, and you've got your keywords and stuff all put away in a safe or whatever, and you know what you're doing with it, the internet could all go down. And whenever the internet comes back on, your money's still there, you know. So it's relatively safe, probably just as safe as a bank, you know. I don't consider these banks totally safe. I mean, they don't have all of the cash on hand in case there's some sort of a situation, a bank run or whatever. And also your Federal Deposit Insurance Commission, they don't have enough money to cover all the banks if all the banks were to start to go down. You'd have to whistle for your money. Up here in Canada, it's called the CDIC, Canadian Deposit Insurance Commission, but it's the same thing, you know. Anyway, listen. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.